going to moderate the panel this evening. Thank you. What people can do to be allies in the time to come.
Thank you. First of all, it's good to be here. And one of the things that I do, I do a few things at the university with multicultural competency and inclusion. And anytime I pull together a group, I give them a quote that I hope will be thought-provoking and that you will marinate on even after leaving here. So I want to start with this quote. I want you to squint with your ears, please. And the quote is, think about everything you believe, but don't believe everything you think. So think about that. I don't need you to respond to me tonight, but I hope, and as you go throughout the days, that you'll think about that. Mindfulness is so important, and I think sometimes we're so unmindful of others. I am going to introduce myself and the other panelists while I'm here so that we'll have a smooth flow for the evening. One of the things that I'm sort of a stickler for is staying on task. Okay, I'm one of those people, all right? So hopefully we all know that we have like 10 minutes or so. So we hope to honor you in that way so that we have the time to answer the questions from the audience and then a little bit more time perhaps at the end of answering those questions. So I'm going to start to and I also have a problem with left and right, so you all will need to tell me which way this is. Help me, I'm serious. Oh, it's my left?
Yes.
Okay, so to my left, I have Paula Montgomery, and she's with the League of Women Voters, and phenomenal, just a phenomenal woman. I have the pleasure this evening of meeting Jonathan Pace. He is from Washington, D.C., new to the area. He's been here about 3 years. And he said he is a concerned father, husband, and citizen. To my left, right, is David Alexander. And you all already know and love him as the Chief of Police, City of Pensacola. I'm LaSharon Wiley, a girl born and raised in South Georgia in a very large family. So, tonight I'm going to be talking about just a little bit. We scaled this back so that we could sort of address some of the issues and concerns that we know people have. And one thing that happens is that change is constant. So, right now, we have a change, but after that, there'll be more change, right? So, my topic was educating yourself on issues of diversity. Now, one of the things I do is, as I just told you, multicultural competence. I'm responsible in the Division of Student Affairs for, first of all, co-creating the curriculum for multicultural competency training. We're on our 5th module. So I want you to know that tonight what you're getting is just a small piece. Obviously in 10 minutes I can't do very much on educating yourself on issues of diversity. But one of the things that we know is that diversity simply talks about differences. And you know, one of the things that I'm always surprised about, people don't do it so much anymore because I go ballistic, so they stop doing it. When I say, what does diversity mean to you? People love to tell me things, well, diversity has to do with the color of your hair. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. And by the time I go off on them, they no longer say that to me. So I want you to know tonight that I will not be talking about differences in hair color, because diversity is so much more than that, okay? So, diversity meaning differences. Diversity meaning things on which people can treat other people differently. And quite frankly, people don't care what color my hair is. Maybe, I know some people are envious because mine is really cute, but generally I don't get treated differently because of my hair color. So, what are some examples of diversity? One of the things that we always go to is what? Talk to me. When we say diversity, we say race. Okay, so racial diversity. We'll start with that one. There are, of course, Americans who come from all racial backgrounds. In addition, there are many Americans who are of mixed racial heritage. Then there's ethnic diversity. So within the various races, there are many different ethnicities. For example, there are black people who are from the Dominican Republic and Africa and other places as well, as you already know. And there are black people of African American ancestry. What's important to know is that though they are of the black race, these different people have very different cultures and ethnicities. So what I'm saying to you is, don't look at my face and make any assumptions about who you think I am. And even within America, when we talk about being in the same race, white race, Asian race, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I'm in that same race, because my experience as a girl in South Georgia in days of segregation will be different from somebody else's experience as an African American in Chicago. Am I right? I'll tell you an experience I had when I moved to Chicago as a South Georgia girl. I was on an elevator, and I said to the fellow, I said, would you please mash the button for me? After looking condescendingly at me, I got the response, I will press the button for you. You mash potatoes. Thank you. Thank you for pressing the button. All I wanted was, I got my way, right? So all I needed was for him to press the button, but I learned from that, and I can tell you, I no longer say mash the button, all right? So, there are also differences between rural and urban Americans. We differ from each other depending simply on where we live. Values and political opinions tend to differ between rural and urban areas as well. There is religious diversity. There's a broad array of religions in America and of course in the world. There are people with no religious beliefs. There's educational diversity. People's educational levels can vary greatly. Such differences can lead to lack of understanding, miscommunication, and within-group isolation. This piece about within-group isolation has to do with, I just told you I came from South Georgia, big family. So I was a first-generation college student. So then when I went back home, I'm getting an education. Some other folk are not getting an education. What do you think might have been happening within my own community? Yeah. And so that isolation begins to occur. And the more education that you get, the greater the divide can be. So there's so much, folks, that we get upset about. There's so much. Generational diversity. Range in age and can result in generational gaps. It can lead to exclusion, lack of understanding, unclear communication, and triggers that can lead to tension. Last night I was out at a local facility. Let me tell you a word that I can't stand, so please don't ever say this to me, please. So, the waitress said to me, Sweetie, what do you want for dinner? I want you to stop calling me sweetie. I didn't say that because I'm a Southern girl, gently braided, you know. But I was thinking that, who gives you the right to call me sweetie? Why can't you simply say, what would you like for dinner? She's attributing a descriptor to me. I'm assuming based on age, and mine could be an assumption. She could have called everyone sweetie, but it's off-putting. It's called a microaggression. It is not the intent to be disrespectful, but at the same time, the intent of the message and the message that is received by the recipient could vary. That's what causes conflict, right? When you intend one thing and I receive something else from your message. Now, I thought about this quite a bit today, that I simply should have said, I prefer not to be called sweetie. I simply should have said that, but I didn't, and then I've been beating myself up. I want to go back and say, don't do that, don't call me that. Okay. Socioeconomic status, the have versus the have-not issue is as old as time itself. Socioeconomic disparities can lead to unequal treatment in the social justice system, unequal educational opportunities, lower income from the persons in the lower SES, higher prices in communities where certain groups of people live, such as housing, the cost of gas, and then also targeted marketing. I don't know that, whether you all know that in some communities, 60 and 40 ounce bottles of beer are only sold in certain neighborhoods. You guess which neighborhood. Gender diversity. One of the oldest and most common diversity issues is the men versus women topic. And we could spend several days talking about lack of equal pay, lack of equal opportunity, and then there's also the transgender question. Lifestyle diversity. Gay and lesbian members of society often experience disrespect and discrimination, as do other groups. Disability diversity, looking at, do I have equal access? Can I read that book online? Are you translating the text for me so that I can hear it even though I can't see it? There are so many issues of diversity. So first of all, we want to think more broadly than black and white and ethnicity. And I've given you just a few things to think about. So here's the question, here it's the question. So what can we do? Well, Sharon, what can we do? There is just so much to do. Here's a few things. Personal research. You know, I wish people would just take the time to do just a little bit of research, educate ourselves. I have a friend who's from Trinidad, and she's often told, oh, you speak English so good. Okay, first of all, that sentence is wrong. But secondly, Trinidadians' native language is English. So I'm just saying, come on folks, just do a little bit of research. Associate with others who are different from you, and we just named some of those. The cutest thing that ever happened to me, because we all have biases and we bring baggage. One of the cutest things was, I went to a training, and Bruni Emanuel was in that training many moons ago. So it's a community unity action, because we're always trying to do something positive for the community. So when I walked in, I looked around to see who would be most like me. We tend to do that, whether consciously or not. So I chose who I thought would be most like me, because I didn't know anybody in the room. So I sat next to this person, and the training went on for about a week. At the end of the week, I was most like this white man from Jay, Florida. Go figure. But we had the same background in terms of what we expected young folk to do. You know, our Southern experiences were similar. It was just so cool, and I thought, wow, opportunity to grow, right? So that was a good takeaway. Build alliances. Solicit allies to help move a project or agenda forum. Speak up when you have the opportunity to do so. And the next 4 statements are from the Southern Poverty Law Center. University of West Florida, this part of it at least was done by me. We are one of about 31 universities who are on-campus partners with the Southern Poverty Law Center. We're pretty proud of that. I think I just snuck that in. Okay, so, but there you are. So, you want a question. Ask simple questions in response to, hateful remarks to find out why the speaker made the offensive comment. Interrupt. Speak up against every biased remark every time without exception. Think of what you will say ahead of time so that you are prepared to act instantly. Educate. Explain why a term or phrase is offensive. Hate isn't behind all hateful speech. Did you know that? I know you did. Echo. If someone else speaks up against hate or an unkind remark, thank the person for doing so and then say, I agree with Paula that remark was unkind. You created an ally, you created a bond, and with women, if we have a comment and we have an idea that we know is magnificent and wonderful, and we say it aloud at the table, and nobody acknowledges that, and then 5 responses later, somebody who is not a female says the same thing, and that person gets kudos, it is in that moment that you say, I agree with you, and it was a great comment when Haley said that 5 minutes ago. You gotta do it, you gotta do that. So here's how I'm going to end. Remember, many voices together can create the change that we want to be. Now I'm going to ask David Alexander to come up and do his presentation.